What is up? What is up? What is up? It's Lucas, and I'm coming at you with a very, very quick video. I was paddleboarding for about 2 hours on the beautiful ocean, and I was so inspired by this idea, this thought, and it really was originated from a question I was asked a few days ago about it, that I literally saw this island. I stopped on this island, and I said, I'm going to record a podcast episode and this video. Because I was just so inspired by it, and I really think this will help, especially if you're not getting the outcome, if you're not getting the result you want from whatever it is you're trying to go after. If you're not getting the result, if it's not, you may be envisioning it, you may know exactly what you're trying to go after, or maybe you don't, but you have some idea, but it's just not happening. I really think that this video, this idea, this concept literally changed the course of my life. It was a very powerful exercise that I constantly do every single day. And I know it has an impact on the clients I work with, and I know it'll have an impact on you. Now, the concept, the idea, you've heard, we've all heard it. What you put in, you get out. What you're putting into your mind, you're gonna get out. What you think about, you'll get. And input negativity, you'll get negativity out of it. But sometimes that whole idea is just so, it's like, okay, great. What does that actually mean? Or how can I actually apply that? And I like to break things down into their most basic, their most simple components, something that's really easy to understand. So when I learned about this concept, 25, 26, I used to put junk in all of the time. Junk in, negativity. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Why does this suck? Why do I have no money? Why do my relationships suck? Why does nothing I do work? Why do I have no money? And everything else in between. Obviously, that was my reality. Nowadays, life is very different because I've trained myself to put in different inputs into my brain, into my mind, different thoughts, or at least focus on different thoughts. But more so than that, I always like to say that the quality of the answer, of the result you get, is dependent on the quality of question you ask. And so to make this very real, I want you to close your eyes and imagine your brain, your mind, as Google or as a search engine. And if you think about it, if you put in a phrase into Google, a question into Google, Google will give you the most relevant results. You're gonna find what you're looking for, depending on the question that you ask. So if you start asking, why do I have no money? Why do I suck? Why does no one listen to me? Why can't I find a date? Why can't I find a man? Why can't I find a woman? Why is my business failing? Why does my marketing suck? Or whatever it is you're going after. Why can't I get a promotion? Why does my boss hate me? Whatever. If you're inputting those questions, I think it's fair to say that Google is going to deliver the result you're looking for. And you can think of your mind in the same way. Is every time you're inputting something, every time you're asking a question, if it's a very general question, if you just input into Google, how do I make more money? You're gonna have thousands of answers, and they're gonna be general. Or if you say, I don't have any money, or why do I have no money? Google will be like, because this and because this. And it's not the answer that is going to serve you best. But if you start flipping that around, if you start asking Google different questions and making them specific, you're gonna get a different answer, and that answer will actually help you build your life, will actually help you move forward, will actually give you something you can use to build your life. So here's my exercise for you. I want to make this very practical. For 1 week, stay as aware as you can when you're inputting something into your brain, into your Google, and it doesn't serve you, or it's general, or it's just what? It's negative. Write it down. Write down the question that you just asked yourself, or the phrase that you just inputted, and then physically scratch it out and rewrite it. Now, the first day, don't be surprised if you have like 50 or 100 of these. But as time goes on, you'll catch yourself much quicker. And eventually, you don't need a piece of paper. You don't need to be writing it down, but you'll change it quick. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, but 95% of the time, I've trained myself that I will rephrase and reframe the thoughts, the ideas, the questions that I'm asking myself constantly. And your reality will be shaped, will be dependent, will come to reality. It'll be shaped by the questions that you're asking and the phrases you're putting in. And this isn't voodoo magic, although we can get very deep with this. And if we want to start getting spiritual, or if we want to get scientific on it, if we want to get quantum, we can. But even, non-dependent, or not even focusing on that, just think about it. What would you be aware of? In Google, although there's a lot of technology and a lot of things going on behind the scenes, when you input something, you find what you're looking for. Life is a lot, life mirrors that identically. Like if you input why this, or why am I not seeing this? You're gonna find evidence and you're gonna find things to support that idea. But if we can shift our awareness and the questions that we ask ourselves into reframing it or changing it or flipping it around or actually trying to find the answers we're actually looking for, you're gonna find those answers. It's kind of like when you buy a red truck. You're gonna start seeing red trucks everywhere. When you buy a certain type of car, you start seeing that car everywhere. Or when you even think about buying a Toyota truck, you're gonna start seeing Toyota trucks everywhere. And we can skip the signs and we can skip everything else that goes on behind it. It's a rule, it's a law, and you've seen evidence in your life for it. And I know that was a game changer for me. So truly hope that helps. If you haven't checked out RubixPerformance.com yet, this Infinite podcast that we launched about 2 months ago is completely dedicated and committed to making sure we get to that next level, to make sure we master the mental game, to make sure that we grow and evolve and are able to create the reality you want, the success you want. It's very important to know your definition of success and what you want. But we're going to help you create that. That's at the Infinite Podcast. That's at RubixPerformance.com. And on top of that, check out the Breakthrough Program. That's 8 weeks if you want to break through to the next level. If you want to be challenged and pushed beyond what you thought was possible. I like to think of it as your comfort circle, your comfort zone. If we can push you just outside of it, that's where the breakthroughs, that's where the big leaps, that's where that quantum leap happens. That's where massive change happens. If you want to be supported through that over 8 weeks to make sure that you can find your definition of success and absolutely achieve every goal you've ever set out for yourself and become the person who can make that happen, you can also check that out. That's at RubixPerformance.com. And for anything else, at Lucas Rubix on Instagram. Truly hope this served, and I'll talk to you soon.
Every human being I meet, all I see is potential. Anything you want to have, anyone you want to be, and anything you want to create, you already have it inside you. We just need to untap your potential. Now, I can't promise you it'll be easy. It will take work. It will hurt. You will have to make sacrifices, but I can promise you this. If you put in the time and stay committed, you'll watch your life grow and expand past your wildest imagination. And if right now you feel the challenges you're facing or the quest for success is impossible, remember this. You are greater than your circumstances and you are more powerful than you can ever imagine. I'm your host, Lucas Rubix, and welcome to Infinite, a podcast dedicated to helping you unleash your full potential.